Hello and welcome to the Poverty Franchise Podcast. My name is PJ, and today we're going to discuss NFL Roundup Week 18. The playoff picture. I'm not going to get into the draft in this video. I'll probably do that in my next video. Just do a nice draft breakdown in between, how the playoff games are. And we're also going to discuss the All-Pro teams. I think before that draft video, I'll discuss the Hall of Fame ballot as well. I probably will not do it in this video. So for the Week 18 scores, the Chiefs secure the number 1 seed, beating Jarrett Stidham and the Raiders 31-13. Jaguars knock the Titans out of their season. Titans end losing 7 straight, 20-16. Falcons beat the Buccaneers in an overall meaningless game. Desmond Ridder does have a good game. There is a future for that offense with Ridder, Allegier, and Drake London. Buccaneers win the division with underfoot is an 8-9 record. Bills take care of business against the Patriots 35-23. Vikings beat the Bears 29-13. Bengals beat the Ravens 27-16 to avoid the coin flip fiasco for home field. Colts beat the Texans. Texans beat the Colts 32-31, absolutely nuking their tank from orbit. Thank you, Lovie Smith, by the way. Bears number 1 overall pick, by the way. Let's go. Dolphins beat the Jets 11-6 to secure a spot in the 7 seed with the Patriots falling. This does lock the Steelers out of a playoff spot, but Mike Tomlin has still not had a losing season. Panthers beat the Saints 10-7, even though there was a god-awful, abysmal performance from Sam Darnold. They need a quarterback. To all intents and purposes, this team finished 7-10. That's in credit to their defense and the coaching. Steve Wilks is a good coach. If they can get an offense out there, they should be all right. They have a solid two-headed monster. They have a not two-headed monster, solid 2 backfield with Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman back there. Chuba being a bit younger, a little bit younger. I think he's a bit younger. I know Deontay's like 26, 27. Chuba's 23, Oklahoma State fame. And they still have DJ Moore, still have Laviska Shenault that they got from the Jags, who's kind of your gadget type guy. He could do a lot of different things. He can rush the ball, he can catch the ball. He's a solid weapon to have in your offense. Then you just get a quarterback. With Sam Darnold, 5 of 15, 43 yards, 2 interceptions, a QB rating of 2.8. Not good. Not good at all. The Steelers beat the Browns in an overall meaningless affair, except Deshaun Watson lost, so I guess we all win. I know it's ironic. I'm wearing Clemson stuff. We don't get into it. Broncos beat the Chargers 31-28, and the Chargers were playing a lot of their starters, and it does backfire with Mike Williams picks up a back injury. It's not serious, thankfully, but he will be out in the playoff game this Saturday. And they banged up Joey Bosa as well. Eagles beat the Jets 22-16 to secure number 1 seed. Giants, apologies. Giants were resting their starters, so Seahawks beat the Rams in OT 19-16 to get into that 7th spot in the NFC, knocking the Lions out in that case. The Lions knock out the Packers 20-16 in Lambeau. Hate watching work. They both miss. The playoffs. 49ers, strongest team looking like in the NFC, beat up on the Cardinals 38-13. Again, they were resting a lot of their guys, played a lot of different guys because their position was pretty much set up. But with Brock Purdy in there, they look good. And the Commanders stomp on the Cowboys 26-6. And Sam Howell did not have a bad first game as an NFL quarterback. Pedestrian yardage. But for a first game in the NFL, you can't ask for much more. He's only 22. I think he deserves a look next year with whatever they go with. Really, will they go with someone in the draft? Maybe. Will they take a swing at one of the free agents like Carr or Lamar Jackson, possibly? We'll also discuss Lamar Jackson's contract. I'm just going to pull it up real quick before we move on to the next, because we're going to jump right into next week, which is the start of the NFL playoffs. First, I want to pull up Lamar Jackson's salary. So, Lamar Jackson's salary is that he's an unrestricted free agent after this year. Straight up. So he's an unrestricted free agent next year. And we'll jump into this. I'll pull up the playoff bracket. Real fast. Oh no. There we go. Sorry about that. Really, the Ravens re-signed Roquan Smith to a big extension, which when we get into the All-Pro teams, he made the All-Pro team. Spoiler, I guess. It was worth it, I think, re-signing Roquan. However, it pretty much jeopardized their position to re-sign Lamar Jackson and have a half-solid team around him. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'm not very familiar off the top of my head with the Ravens cap situation right now. We'll take a look at that after we discuss the NFL playoffs. So, looking at the Saturday games, the Saturday games at 4:30, it will be the Seahawks will go to San Francisco, and then the Chargers travel to Jacksonville. Sunday games, Cincinnati travels. Baltimore's going to Cincinnati, basically second week in a row. They're playing each other. Miami goes up to Buffalo, which is hell for them. Dallas will play a road game against Tampa. New York Giants will be traveling to Minnesota. The Eagles and Chiefs have the bye. So how do I think all these games will play out? Well, starting with the AFC, I think Jacksonville will beat the Chargers. Chargers don't look the strongest. They're minus a big red zone threat. Still dangerous offense. I'm not saying they still have Austin. You still have guys like Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and you still have a great player in Justin Herbert slinging the rock at any given moment. They're just coached by one of the more inept coaches left coaching. We'll also get into coach firings in a bit, but yeah, Brandon Staley is not that good of a head coach. I just think that should be said. Gerald Everett, that's the tight end I was thinking of, solid tight end. Defense, for all the name talent they have, they're a bit shaky. Jacksonville is still a younger team. They're still prone to making mistakes, but the combination of Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, DJ Chark. Oh no, DJ Chark's on the Lions. Oh no, who's the opposite receiver? Oh no, this is what happens when I poorly research videos. Oh my god, I know the other receiver. Oh no, I know the other receiver. Oh my god, I know who it is, and I'm gonna feel so bad when I look at his name. Zay Jones from the fucking Buffalo Bills. And Evan Ingram at tight end. Again, offense is great. Defense, again, can be shaky at times. Could be a solid unit. We just have to see on that. But I think Jacksonville will win that game. It will be a close one. I think Cincinnati's going to beat Baltimore. They're starting Anthony Brown at quarterback. Tyler Huntley's banged up. I know Anthony Brown is quite atrocious of an NFL quarterback, and their offense just isn't the same without Lamar Jackson at all. Anthony Brown is of UVA fame. He's just not. Oh no, that's the guy from Oregon. No, the guy who plays with UVA is on the fucking Rams. The thing is that they're just kind of fucked at quarterback. They just are. Those two options are just not. Neither of them are good. Neither of them are Lamar Jackson. So I think Cincinnati will cruise through there. And Miami traveling to Buffalo. Tua's probably not going to play. So, and I don't think Teddy's going to be wrecked. So they're going to be starting Skylar Thompson on the road in Buffalo. Even the defense minus Von Miller. That's a wrap. And we'll go into the next round. Next round, I'll make a full prediction list. I think the Cowboys will... Actually, I think that's my most probable upset. I think Tampa Bay will beat the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to beat the Eagles in the next round. But I think Tampa Bay will beat the Cowboys at home. The Buccaneers' defense is still very stout. Todd Bowles may not have the offense clicking in all gears, but playoff Lenny could show up, and if they can get that rushing attack going and just grind the Cowboys down, they have the better skill position players, for the exception of, I guess, edge rusher with Micah Parsons, but their defense as a unit still better, that they'll pull out in that game. It's going to be a sucky game if it goes that way, but there'll be a win's a win. Minnesota has the biggest chance of being exposed as frauds by the stout Giants defensive unit. The thing that'll hold the Giants back is, of course, Daniel Jones and his mediocre passing and their mediocre offense. But the thing is that they have to build up a big enough lead to just withstand any sort of Kirk Cousins heroics. And they just need to keep Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook in check. On to San Francisco and Seattle. Seattle making the playoffs is just that's a Super Bowl for them. And I think I picked them at the beginning of the year. Me and Ethan, we both picked them to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. We thought they were going to be lottery contenders. All honesty, I probably thought the Broncos would be in that position. That was like the worst case for the Broncos. So the ride had been much worse. I think San Francisco will win that game handedly. So that'll bring the next round. I have to say definitive for the Giants or Vikings. I'm going to say the Vikings just for the offensive superpower. I mean, again, it feels like they can be exposed as frauds, but I don't think it's going to happen. So, if all those teams win, it'll be San Francisco versus Dallas, and I think the Giants would travel to Tampa would travel to Philadelphia, and it'd be the Vikings and Niners. Philadelphia would beat Tampa Bay, and I'm going to just go high seed. San Francisco would beat the Vikings. They're just a much better team overall. And on the AFC, all chosen winners, Jacksonville would be traveling to Arrowhead. They're not quite at that level yet. They will probably lose, but again, them getting to the conference semifinals after the year they had last year and the speculation and talk, I even thought Christian Kirk was a bit of an overpay, but I think he said he'd get like 1,000 yards and X amount of touchdowns to make it work. And then Zay Jones coming up as a real good number 2 option. Evan Ingram not dropping nearly as many passes. I think that was more of a New York media problem. Again, going to a smaller media market where you're not getting scrutinized as much in the national media helps a lot. The problem is that New York sports writers are basically have on tap for the whole national media. They get a lot more primetime games. Every drop pass gets magnified. That's going to hurt your psyche. And then Cincinnati will be traveling to Buffalo. Now, this is a very interesting game. They both match up really well against each other. Buffalo has staggered at times this year, so has Cincinnati. I think Buffalo at home in the playoffs. I'm going to have to go Buffalo, and then we have a Kansas City-Buffalo rematch in Arrowhead, or at a neutral site for the AFC Championship. Then we have Eagles-Niners at Lincoln, at the Link, for the NFC Conference Championship. I really think the Niners are just a better football team. Their offense is more consistent. They can establish the run a bit better, and their defense is a bit better than the Eagles, just a little bit. They closed out the year better. But the Eagles' defense will really be the first defense he's going to see that's going to probably really fuck with Brock Purdy. However, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a little banged up by then. Everyone's a little banged up, but he's noticeably banged up to have missed games. That's going to be a factor. So I think the 49ers will win the NFC Championship and go to the Super Bowl. And I think Buffalo cannot come over the demons. Not with this team. Not minus Von Miller. Not minus that edge rushing you're going to need to collapse the pocket on Patrick Mahomes and force them into mistakes. The Chiefs' defense is still suspect. It could be a shootout, but it's still the Chiefs' offense. And it'll be Chiefs 49ers, a rematch from 3 seasons ago. Yeah, from 3 seasons ago. This time, Brock Purdy instead of Jimmy G. McCaffrey at running back. A more seasoned defense. The Niners have a chance to make a run and win the Super Bowl this year. They really do. And I'm going to really pick if the 49ers lose to the Seahawks, please laugh at me. I know this is going to get no views, but I want to be on freezing cold takes on Twitter. I want to be on everywhere. I just want to be everywhere if this goes wrong. I think the Niners will beat the Chiefs and win the Super Bowl. That's how I have the playoffs going. On to the All-Pro teams. So the All-Pro teams from AP poll came out. I didn't get a chance to discuss the player one, so I'm not going to really, because this is the one that gets remembered by I don't know in the future if the player one ends up becoming more important, but at the moment, this is the one that gets you Hall of Fame consideration. This is what's on your resume. Quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, probably MVP of the league as well. Running back, Josh Jacobs. If Justin Jefferson did not have the year he had, he'd probably be OPOY. Travis Kelce, tight end, took advantage of down years from Mark Andrews and George Kittle and Darren Waller being hurt to run away with it once again. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. You're going to have no complaints from me there. Left tackle, Trent Williams. Right tackle, Lane Johnson. Again, no complaints. Left guard, Joel Bentonio. Again, for Cleveland, the only good lineman they really have. Center, Jason Kelce. Right guard, Zach Martin. Again, stalwarts. I'm looking at, from just off the top of my head, 3 Hall of Famers. Trent Williams, Zach Martin, Jason Kelce are all Hall of Famers. Whenever they decide to hang them up. And they should all be first ballot Hall of Famers. On the defensive side, edge rusher Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons. Not really going to have better choices there. Interior lineman Chris Jones and Quinnen Williams gets his first All-Pro selection. Great pickup from the Jets. Again, him and even his brother at middle linebacker has potential to become an All-Pro linebacker at some point, shape, or form. With the linebackers, Fred Warner, Roquan Smith finally gets his due, finally makes an All-Pro team. And Matt Milano will be the 3 interior linebackers. Again, stalwarts at the linebacker position, kind of the usual. On defense, Sauce Gardner and Patrick Surtain. Sauce Gardner in his rookie year, and I still think he should be in consideration for DPOY. I really, really do. But in his rookie season, and then Patrick Surtain in his second season, those are all pros, which is insane, by the way. And the Broncos picking Patrick Surtain should never be shit on. It's still a good, and this is all first team, by the way. I had not looked at second team, so that's gonna be a surprise to both of us. Safeties would be Minkah Fitzpatrick and Tua Hufanga from the 49ers. Again, no complaints from me there. Special teams, Daniel Carlson for Vegas is the kicker. Tommy Townsend's the punter. Returners, Keyshawn Nixon from Green Bay. Probably should be Naeem Hines, but that's just me. Marcus Jones is the punt returner from New England. Gunner, Jeremy Reeves from the Commanders, and the long snapper, Andrew DePola. I don't know him, so. Then second team, Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. Again, makes sense, probably also. Doesn't get hurt, doesn't have a couple shaky games. Would be MVP. Still probably should be Patrick Mahomes. Nick Chubb at running back. Had a great year. Josh Jacobs just had a really, really good year. George Kittle is the second tight end. Again, Mark Andrews and Darren Waller being hurt, and Mark Andrews just having kind of an off year. It was George Kittle's second place. That was the real fight there, I suppose. In first place, Kelce ran away with it. He had a 4-touchdown game, for fuck's sake. And to show that just the depth at wide receiver this year, the second team All-Pros are A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, and CeeDee Lamb. Now, you can argue that Devontae Adams didn't win many games and didn't contribute to many wins, so he shouldn't be there, but, it is what it is. Left tackle, Andrew Thomas. Right tackle, Tristan Wirfs. Left guard, Joe Thuney from the Chiefs. Chris Lindstrom from Atlanta having a breakout year, and Creed Humphrey, the center for the Chiefs. Edge rushers for the second team, Myles Garrett and Hassan Reddick. Again, game-wrecking type guys. Interior lineman, Dexter Lawrence makes his first All-Pro team. I'll go to the grave on this, that Dexter Lawrence was the best defensive lineman of the Clemson Power Rangers, of Dexter Lawrence, Cleveland Farrell, Christian Wilkins, and Austin Bryant. Austin Bryant was obviously the worst, but we're not going to talk about that. And also, shout out Christian Wilkins for having the most tackles by an interior lineman since the 80s, I believe. Like 40 years, something like that. Again, you watch him, he's everywhere as an interior lineman. It's actually kind of insane. But again, the interior linemen that were chosen just had such good years that there wasn't any room for Christian Wilkins this year. Christian Wilkins, if there's a third team, are like, right under the All-Pro team, that's where he is. Interior linebackers, Bobby Wagner, C.J. Mosley, finally having a good, healthy year with the Jets, and Demario Davis. The other note was Jeffrey Simmons from the Titans. He's a good back. Good back. Interior lineman. Cornerbacks, Jair Alexander, James Bradbury. Again, it's really splitting hairs there. Safeties, Derwin James and Justin Simmons. It shows you how bad the Broncos' offense was when they have two All-Pros in the defensive backfield, and they won as little games as they did. Justin Tucker is second team this year. Ryan Stonehouse is the punter. Khalif Raymond is the returner. But that is the All-Pro teams. To end it, I would like to look at just the Ravens in general, just to see how their salaries look for next year. Just to see, because this is going to be one of the more interesting So, next year, they have Ronnie Staley, Marlon Humphrey, and Mark Andrews already extended. Roquan Smith's extension kicks in next year too. This is not good because how much cap room do they have? Well, they have $40 million in cap space. Still got to sign their draft picks. The problem is that a lot of very important players, Marcus Peters, Kyle Fuller, are going to be undrafted free agents. You have a lot of older guys who you're not really going to re-sign, like Brent Urban, Kenyon Drake, Jason Pierre-Paul, Sammy Watkins, just guys who didn't really... Now, is there still feasibly money for them to spend? Why, yes, there is. However, do they have the per year salary expectations of one Lamar Jackson? He's seen Aaron Rodgers' contracts. He's seen Patrick Mahomes' contracts. They don't have the money to sign him and everyone else. They just don't. They simply do not. And, shit, that's what it is sometimes, It is what it is. Like, it is what it is, man. Like, I just kind of messed up. But that'll be all for the NFL Week 18 Roundup / playoff preview of Lord's year 2022-2023. It's been a great regular season full of ups, downs, turns, twists. And I'm just glad the Chicago Bears got the number 1 overall pick. It's been PJ on the Poverty Franchise Podcast, signing off.